Are you having trouble focusing? Do you find yourself being distracted, not being able to stay on track in this Christian walk, living in this busy, noisy world we live in? I think it's a pretty common struggle. Actually, I know it is. And in Hebrews chapter 12, I want to read two passages, verse 1 and 2, that help us see this Christian walk as a race. And not that a race that we're in alone, that it's a race that many have gone before us, that set examples for us, and also that we have a leader, Jesus Christ, a perfect example to follow. So in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, in the ESV, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God." I think this imagery is so magnificent because this is a race that we're in life, but especially in the Christian walk. And this race is different than most of the races that you see on TV or that you experience in school. Because this race is not us alone against everybody else, and there's only one victor at the end. Uh, no, all of us are able to win this race, um, and we're not in it alone. And I think that's the most important part of this is that although this is a race, it's not a race against each other so much as it is a race towards the finish line. We are all going towards the same finish line. We may be at different spots on the racetrack, so to speak, but we all have one finish line, and that finish line is Jesus Christ and a life with Him eternally. And so I think this picture is great of a race. Many other times in the Bible, is there's this imagery of the Christian life or fellowship with God and the walk towards God in this life as a race. And I have this picture in my mind when I read this of a Roman Colosseum, and around it is seated this great cloud of witnesses. Now, right before this in Hebrews 11, we read about what's called the Hall of Faith, and we read about people like Abraham and Isaac and David and Elijah, and all these great examples of faith that have gone before us, that you read about in the Old Testament, that were examples of what to do and also what not to do, on this earth in this walk with God, and they're all seated around in this Colosseum, right? And they're not witnesses for us, as far as they're not what we are striving to be like, although they're examples to us of maybe what to do in situations. Ultimately, they are not the people that we're trying to be like exactly. They're witnesses to us of what they've experienced going towards that finish line, going towards Jesus Christ, the ultimate goal. They're witnesses to us, not for us. So I see this picture, right, of this great cloud of witnesses. Then it goes on to say that we should, knowing that we have a race set before us, we need to shed off all these sins, these things, these weights that are holding us down. And I just have this picture of like, okay, if I'm about to run this race, I'm probably not going to be wanting to wear a robe, right? Along, like, I got this terry cloth robe. Like, I'm not going to be strapping that sucker on and I'm going to get on the racetrack and start running. No, I'm gonna be wise, and I'm gonna shed off any article of clothing that I don't legally have to have on, and I'm gonna put on the best shoes, and I'm gonna be ready for the race, right? And I think that's what it's saying to us when it's saying to shed off these weights. When we have these addictions, when we have these idols in our life that are weighing us down, we're not able to fully run the race. And ultimately, this verse is centering on Jesus. That while we're in a race, just like the horses that are on the track, that they have those blinders on so that they can only see in front of them, we're to have spiritual blinders on so that we can only see the end goal, the finish line, Jesus Christ, the author and perfecter of our faith. He is the focus. We keep our focus on Him. We have these examples around us of people who have gone before us that have made the mistakes and also made the good choices that we have to copy. But ultimately, we have this perfect picture, God Himself that came down to this earth to show us what a perfect life would look like. And we have this perfect example. He's the author and perfecter of our faith. And so we run towards Him, uh, drawing from this cloud of witnesses whatever we can to help us along the way, but keeping our eyes focused on Jesus Christ and knowing that that is the finish, that He has the perfect plan for us in this life. If we just keep our eyes on Him, we keep the distractions of this noisy world out, and we keep our eyes on Him. And so I just want to encourage you today that if you're losing focus, if you're having problems finding that solitude, that peace that you had when you first found Jesus, then go back to what you did when you first found Jesus. Draw from these examples, this great cloud of witnesses. What did they do? Did they set time apart for God every day? Did they go off in solitude to pray? Did they live their life selflessly? These are all things that are examples for us. But ultimately, Jesus is the example. So go back and read the Gospels. Go back and read just the red letters in the Bible, and see who Jesus really was. Not the Jesus that's depicted on TV, or the Jesus that you've made up in your mind of whatever kind of Jesus that's been taught to you over the years. Read the Jesus that explains Himself in the Bible, and read for yourself who He is. Go back to your first love, and find Him, and follow Him as the author and perfecter of your faith. God bless y'all.